Yo, what's good everybody? I'm your boy Jajiro, and this is my Pew Pew build for Rogue. Let's get right into it. And starting off with our first aspect today, we're going the aspect of Retribution, and we're putting this on our crossbow, and this increases the damage we deal to knock down or stunned enemies. Now moving over here to our first one-handed weapon, we're going the Accelerating aspect, and this allows our critical strikes with our core abilities to increase our attack speed. Moving over to our second one-handed weapon here, we're going the aspect of the Expectant, and basically what this does is our basic skills increase the damage we deal with our core skills. Now moving up to the only unique we have for this build, it's our ring, it's the Scoundrel's Kiss. And the Scoundrel's Kiss increases the damage we deal with rapid fire. And it also allows it to arc and do AoE damage. Now moving up to our second ring here, we're going the Icy Alchemist aspect. And this will allow our Shadow Imbuement to apply a chill effect to our enemies and also increase the damage it deals to frozen enemies. Now moving up to our necklace piece here, we're going the Umbros aspect, and this will grant us a Dark Shroud Shadow every time that we critically strike. And the Dark Shroud Shadows grant us damage reduction. Moving over to our good old helmet here, we're going the aspect of the Quickening Fog. And this will allow us to drop a smoke grenade when we use dash, and it will also reduce the cooldown of our dash. Now moving down to our chest piece here, one of the most important aspects on this build is the aspect of Shared Misery. And this will give us a chance to spread our crowd-controlled effects to other enemies. And we're predominantly playing around chilling or freezing our enemies. Now moving on to our gloves here, we're going the aspect of Repeating, and basically this allows our rapid fire ability, our core ability, to ricochet. Now moving down to our pants piece here, we're going the aspect of Concussive Strikes, and this will allow us to daze our enemies and also increase the damage we deal to dazed enemies. And finally, moving down to our boots, we're going the Frostbitten aspect, and this will increase the damage we deal to frozen enemies. And it'll also allow us to freeze our enemies with our smoke grenade from our dash. Alright guys, so that does it for all the aspects. Let's go over the tempering next. As for the weapons, what I simply did was I either got increased critical strike damage or I got the chance to proc rapid fire or puncture twice. So as you can see here, I have both those temperings on my crossbow. This is an elite crossbow. It's probably the best item I have, honestly. Everything else is pretty much subpar. And as for my weapons here, you can see I got the rapid fire, but I did not get the increased critical strike damage. But damage to crowd controlled is another damage bucket, so it's more damage effectively. However, on my one-handed weapon here, I got cutthroat attack speed. Absolutely garbage. Did not need it. I don't know why it keeps breaking items, but I love the 2 greater affixes on this weapon, so I didn't want to give it up. As for the jewelry pieces for tempering, as you can see here, I got some vulnerable damage, some movement speed, and on the ring here, I got some more critical strike damage and some resource cost reduction. If I could do it over again and retemper everything, if they didn't brick, I would put more critical strike damage on my necklace. Now moving over to the armor for tempering, now this is where things get interesting. Instead of having to go cold imbue, I just put cold imbue pretty much on my armor. As you can see here, for my helmet, my gloves, and I believe my pants, I have lucky hit chance to freeze. So basically anything from my rapid fire or my puncture will potentially chill and then freeze my enemies. And also simply just wanted to play off the aspect of Retribution, I put the chance to stun on my boots and chance to stun on my chest piece. As for the other tempering, it was either max life or I got critical strike chance increased to marksman abilities, and I believe here I got some resistances where needed. But as you can see here guys, I was pretty much trying to min-max everything as best as possible. Most of these items are bricked. I really tried to get the best roll, but you know, this is what we got. So in summary on our armor here, all we want is lucky hit chance to stun or freeze. And if you can, get some maximum life. And if you need the resistances, don't be shy. You can temper on resistances. So that does it for the tempering. Let's move on to those gems next. As for the gems, as you can see here in the armor, pretty simple. We're going rubies. We just want straight up maximum life. As for the weapons, you can see we put straight up emeralds in our weapons. We just want critical strike damage across the board. And as for our necklace piece and our rings, just simply put the gem that you need help with resistance in the most. So that sums it up for aspects, gems, and tempering. Let's move over a tab and go over the Rogue Specialization next. And as for Rogue Specialization, I'm pretty sure you already guessed it, it's combo points. This is just a massive increase to our core ability Rapid Fire. As you can see here, increases the damage and the amount of arrows that spawn when we use Rapid Fire. And it also works really well in tandem with the key passive that we're going for this build. And speaking of our key passive, we're going to go over the primary and passive skills next. So as for our primary skills here, we're going Puncture, and we're going the version of Puncture that applies vulnerable to our enemies. And as for our core ability, of course, we're going Rapid Fire, and we're going the version of Rapid Fire that increases its damage after we evade. Now moving down to our agility skills, we're going every single agility skill. We're going Shadow Step, we're going Caltrops, and we're going Dash. And we're simply just putting 1 point into Shadow Step for the unstoppable proc. Then we're going Caltrops, and we're going the version of Caltrops that increases the damage we deal to enemies that are within our Caltrops. And as for Dash, we're simply going the Enhanced Dash, which increases the critical strike damage we deal when we dash into our enemies. Now moving down to our subterfuge skills, we're going Smoke Grenade, and we're going the version of Smoke Grenade that increases the damage we deal to enemies affected by Smoke Grenade. And remember, Dash drops a Smoke Grenade. So this isn't actually going on our ability bar, but Dash will proc it. Now moving over to Dark Shroud, we're going the version of Dark Shroud that increases our critical strike chance if we have at least 2 shadows available. Remember, both of these abilities are not going on our ability bar, but they synergize with the aspects we're going. Now moving down to our imbuement, we're simply going Shadow Imbuement, and we're going the version of Shadow Imbuement that increases the physical damage we deal to enemies when they're affected by Shadow Imbuement. And then we're going to move down to our ultimate abilities. We're taking nothing here, but as for our key passive, we're going Precision. Again, we're just doing big damage with Precision here, with going critical strike damage, and it really synergizes well with combo points. Alright, so that was the primary skills. Let's go over the passive skills next. As for passive skills, we're just going 2 into Innervation, and this is just to help with our energy regeneration. Now moving up, we're putting a full 3 into Frigid Finesse, and this increases the damage we deal to chilled and frozen enemies. Now moving up the ladder again, we're putting a full 3 into Exploit for damage and a full 3 into Malice just for damage. And we're also putting a full 3 into Agile for increased dodge chance. Moving up to the agility skills, we're putting a full 3 in Weapon Mastery for just straight up damage across the board. And then we're putting a full 3 into Rugged to give us damage reduction against damage over time effects. And then we're putting a full 3 into Reactive Defense so that every time that we're crowd controlled, we get damage reduction. Then I'm putting 1 into Rapid Gambits. This is just to reduce the cooldown of our evade. And then I'm putting 1 into Trick Attack so that when we critically strike a dazed enemy, they're knocked down. And the reason I'm going those 2 passive skills is because it really synergizes well with Concussive Strikes and the aspect of Retribution. Now moving up to our last tab here, I'm putting a full 3 in Sturdy just for straight up damage reduction. And then I'm putting 3 into Siphoning Strikes for life on hit. And finally, I'm putting a full 3 into Stutter Step just for some mobility so that when we critically strike, it increases our movement speed. So that does for all the primary and passive skills. Let's move over to that Paragon board next. Nothing complicated here. We got the good old 6 boards, 5 glyphs. Let me explain. As for our first glyph, we're going the aspect of control, and this furthers the damage we deal to chilled or frozen enemies. Now moving up to our second board here, we're going the legendary node Exploit Weakness, and this will increase the damage we deal to vulnerable enemies. And as for the glyph, we're going the Devious Glyph, and what the Devious Glyph does, it increases the damage we deal to enemies that are hit with an attack that applies a crowd controlled effect. And this is why I went the Icy Alchemist aspect on this build. Now moving on to our third board here, I'm going the Deadly Ambush legendary node, and this will increase the critical strike damage we deal to enemies affected by our trap skills. And Caltrops procs Deadly Ambush. And as for the glyph, we're going the new and improved Fluidity. As you can see here, every time that we proc an agility skill, we increase the damage we deal to enemies. Additionally, it will help us with some energy regeneration every time we proc an agility skill as well. Now moving on to our fourth board here, we're going the Tricks of the Trade board, but we're not going the legendary node. We're simply just using this as a connecting board. And as for the glyph, we're going Exploit, so this is just to spread even more vulnerable to our enemies outside of Puncture, and it just does some good old vulnerable damage. Now moving down to our fifth board here, I'm going Cheap Shot, and this will increase the damage we deal for every crowd-controlled enemy. And moving over to the glyph, of course, I'm going Ranger. I felt I was a little bit squishy, so I want some more damage reduction, and Ranger provides us damage reduction. And as for the sixth and final board here, I went the Cunning Stratagem legendary node. And what the Cunning Stratagem does is it buffs the secondary part of our 3-point combo point effect. So we'll have additional arrow spawns. And you guys already know I got the build over at Mobalytics. If you want to go check it out there, it's called the Season 4 PEW PEW Rogue Endgame build. And I got everything from the assigned skills to the skill tree and the Paragon board here for you. And what I'll do is I'll include a link in the description and in the comments for you guys to go to find this build. So that does it for the Paragon board and the Mobalytics plug. Let's go over that rotation demonstration next. Alright, here we are for the rotation demonstration. It's pretty much just apply the combo points with Puncture and then drop rapid fire. That's the most simplistic way I can explain this build. Now when it comes to wave clear, just make sure you get those combo points up and then drop that rapid fire. And guys, also don't forget to evade, because every time you evade, it increases the damage that rapid fire does. Now for bossing, don't forget to drop your Caltrops, or if the enemies are getting too close, don't forget to drop your Caltrops. This will slow them from advancing on you. Also, don't forget to do your dash every so often. You'll get that smoke grenade proc, and then you'll do increased damage with your rapid fire as well. And if you're in a bind and you're CC, don't forget you got Shadow Step just to simply give you that unstoppable proc. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the rotation demonstration. So that does it for the rotation demonstration. Let's go into the pit next and see what this build can do. So we're about to go into the pit here, guys, and I have two questions for you. My first question is, what kind of builds do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to see some more endgame builds? Do you guys want to see some more speed farm builds? Or is there any specific builds that you want to see? Let me know down in the comments. And as for my second question, guys, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, guys, here we are in a tier 81. I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, he's only doing a tier 81. But let me tell you, this is an achievement for me. So I'm proud of myself, of course. And I'm working my way up the ladder. I managed to push to a tier 95. I'm trying to get to that 101 benchmark. But right now, I'm working on getting the Harley Quinn's crest. I still have to get those resplendent sparks. So what I'm trying to do is on my barb, and I'm going to be working on my necromancer next. I'm trying to get those resplendent sparks. So as soon as I can get a Harley Quinn crest, I believe that's really the pinnacle of what pushes you over the edge. Like majority of the builds that I'm seeing online, I'm seeing that that's really helping the builds progress and do more damage, right? Because I feel like the survivability is one thing, and that's no problem. But really, what it really comes down to is doing that extra damage, right, with those core skills. So I promise you guys, as soon as I get a Harley Quinn's crest or any kind of uber unique on this build, I'll be doing more higher tier pit pushes. But you know, I got to level 95 with this build. I'm doing a tier 81 just to show you guys that it's pretty much, it's not too hard to, it's an accessible build, in other words. And that you don't have to have the greatest gear. Like as you can see, my gear isn't the greatest, but you know, you're still gonna be able to push through the pit and get the highest material necessary to complete your masterworking additionally. So it's a pretty good build. I mean, it's low maintenance, it's low cost. You know, you don't have to spend millions of dollars in gold to get this build together, and it's effective. Also, I'd like to mention that typically my builds, I think I mentioned this more in my comments than I actually do in my videos, and I get to speak a little bit more candidly. So excuse me if my gameplay is a little off or my speech is a little bit off, but it's kind of hard to play and process thoughts at the same time for me. So I'm working on that too. But let me get to my point here. My point is that I like to make these builds for the casual audience as well as more esteemed players. I feel like I like the esteemed players to watch and the more pro players to watch because they have the ability to offer me feedback and to help me better my game, and they can also, you know, give me tips and pointers on how to make my builds better. So I always encourage that if you're, you know, an esteemed player and you see flaws or any kind of mistakes or things I can do better, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I have no problem responding to you guys. I love chatting with you guys. I especially love doing these pit pushes, and I get to talk to you guys more candidly. It's awesome. And as to my second point here, for the more casual players too, I want to make this build super accessible. You know, I know there's people out there that have a life and that have to go work a 9 to 5. They want to come home. They want to play some Diablo 4. They just want a quick, easy build to pick up and start playing, and you know, make it easy for them to understand. That's kind of the goal of the build guides that I do. So I just kind of want to say this here candidly in front of all of you. That's where my builds, it comes from the heart. I really just want to try and help everyone as best as possible. So whether you're casual or you're pro, you know, I welcome all your questions, you know, all your critiques, all your positivity, whatever you have to offer, I'm here for, you know. I'm gonna die, don't die. There we go, we survived. But yeah, I'm here for it. So you guys let me know how you feel. I'll definitely work on getting some more Uber uniques to make these builds pop a little bit more, and some more uniques to really help these builds out. And again, please feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any criticisms or critiques. That's what I'm here for, right? As a content creator, I just want to help everybody. That's my goal. I love helping people. And if my builds can somehow help you better your game, that's my mission. And to all the content creators out there that do make content, if this build looks like yours, you know, thank you, I guess. And, you know, if you're a content creator that sees this build and you want to use it for your own, all the power to you. Please do. Sorry, guys, kind of path wrong here. So all the enemies are on the other side of the map. I'll be back momentarily. But hey, that was a little bit of a long-winded speech. But as you can see here, man, the build pushes pretty smoothly. Not too bad. All right, guys, here we go. We're about to fight the boss. I have another question for you guys. What do you think the new benchmark is for the pit? Is it tier 81 now, or is it past that? Is it 101? I think it's 101. But again, let me know down in the comments. Here we go. So the idea here, sorry, I have gas. I had chicken wings. TMI, right? So what we want to do with our stun and our freeze is we want to stagger this boss as quick as possible and try not to waste our evades like I've been doing. Because when you evade, again, you do the most damage, right? So you want to kind of evade out the way. But as you can see, you start doing big damage, right? Once you have the boss staggered there. There you go. He CC'd us. We're just going to get out with our Unstoppable proc, with our Shadow Step. We're trying to get him CC'd again without getting crushed here. Oh, totally whiffed that attack. That's okay. Let's get those combo points up. There we go. Look at that. Big damage. So we have the chance to stagger him one more time. So you can stagger the boss 3 times. Oh, whoa. This is what I get for taking off the aspect of might on that helmet to do more damage. But it's worth it. It's just a skill thing. Let's see what we get here. Ooh. Ooh, dodging bullets here. This is actually, I think, one of the harder bosses. But here we go. And good night. Alright guys, that was the pit. I hope you enjoyed. I know it's only tier 81, but as expressed in the pit, you guys will see better pit pushes in the future. Well, with that out the way, let's go over that build summary next. As for skills, we're going good old Puncture, then we're going Rapid Fire, then we're going Caltrops, then we're going Dash, then we're going Shadow Step, and we're going good old Shadow Imbuement. As for the aspects, I'll chapter it in the video for you guys, and you can go check it out there. As for the gems, guys, we're going rubies. As for the weapons, we're going emeralds. And in terms of our jewelry, all we want is wherever we need help with resistance the most. And as for tempering as well, I'll also chapter that for you in this video. As for the rogue specialization, we're going combo points. And last but not least, as for the Paragon board, guys, I'll also chapter that for you in this video. But if you want to skip all that noise, you guys can head over to Mobalytics, and I'll include that link in the description and in the comments. Well, guys, that does it for my Pew Pew Rapid Fire Rogue build. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to, but if you simply found any joy or any value in today's video, that's all I could ask for. Thank you guys so much. Well, that does it for me, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. I'm your boy Jajiro. Sign up for now.